So we start on the bottom section of page Tzadik Tes. Although we have, so to speak, already gone through it verbally, but we have to get into it. And this is one of those very elusive, very difficult things to fully understand and then to relate to it. Three lines from the bottom on page Tzadik Tes. We are now talking about Mochin versus midot.
3 lines from the bottom on page Tzadik
Tes.
Tes.
I'm recording audio.
Oh, okay.
So no, go ahead.
Okay. You don't want this?
No, he's recording. Okay, fine. Okay. So Mochin al lemayle habe me hamidus. Are much higher than midot. This phenomenon, at Mochin are much higher than midot, this is what we're going to discuss, and in a certain sense, make sense of it and understand the phenomenon. What does it mean, Mochin are much higher than midot? The Mochin hein, because Mochin hein, they are, which means what the Mochin consist in. Inyan idiyas v'hasogas alakus. It is the inyan, the principle, or as we say, the phenomenon of ideas of knowledge, of knowing, and hasogas alakus, and literally hasogas comprehension of alakus. And as we said, hasogas alakus is a totally different meaning of the word hasoga than we say hasoga in the normal sense, in seichel. Hasogas Elokus is primarily in Chochmah. Although we're talking about Mochin in general, Mochin in general are representative of Chochmah. The principal inyan of Mochin is from Chochmah. Although it then reverberates and it also and it actually develops into Binah. But Binah, as we said, Binah is not a standalone entity. No matter how well you understand in Binah, it is not a standalone entity. It is constantly, it is understanding that which Chochmah teaches you, shows you. And if you dissociate from the Chochmah, then of course it becomes a disaster. Primarily, Chochmah, Mochin is Chochmah, and it is ideas of hasogas elokus. The inyan of it is, what is it about the knowledge and hasoga of elokus? The hasoga of elokus, as we said, we're talking about different kind of hasoga. There is hasoga in Binah and hasoga in Chochmah. As we are going to be learning now, I just want to make because we learned it already, I want to make, so to speak, a pointed statement in terms of the difference between hasoga and Binah and hasoga in Chochmah. In Binah, you'll start from there because we're much more familiar with that. In Binah, the hasoga is what makes the thing real. In hasoga, we sort of prove a certain idea, we discuss it from every angle, and it makes sense of it, and therefore this, so to speak, brings the reality of the thing that we learn. The hasoga makes it real. Chochmah is the opposite. Chochmah knows that which is real to begin with. Now, but if you to put it in certain terms, Binah Because you know it, it is real. Chochmah, you know it because it's real. A completely different approach, different principle. We can understand it on a simple level, sight versus hearing. That's Chochmah and Binah. Sight, you see not because you understand what you're seeing, not because you make sense of it. You see it because it's real, because it's there. That's Chochmah. Clearly, this is Chochmah at the lowest level, on the physical level. But this is Chochmah in its essence as well. This is why in Chochmah you have ideas v'asogas alakus. Because the truth of alakus is omnipresent, is universal. Chochmah recognizes this because it's real. So the union of Mochin is ideas v'asogas. That's its inyan. This is its function. This is the definition of Mochin. This is not one of the functions of Mochin. This is Inha Mochin. Inha Mochin is its ideas v'asogas alakus. This is when Mochin function to their fullest, so to speak. When you say function to the fullest means that this is something which can be attained only through Mochin. This is my Mochin function to the fullest. Because Asogas ideas is not possible any other way. The motion that I thought to present today, which we discussed before, but for clarity of this particular thing that we're talking about. We spoke many times that there are two situations. You can stand outside, look through a window into the room, and observe everything that's going on in the room from that vantage point. And then you see everything that's going on. And then there's another situation completely, another level, where you are actually inside the room. When you're inside the room, you don't have to discover anything. You are inside the room. Everything is there for you. But here's the thing which I'd like me to understand. Did I make a bracha? I don't think I did. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. I'm going to go off to a different moshel, but it's a not difficult moshel. You're a guest in somebody's home, and he serves you lunch. He gives you the food, he gives you the spoon and the fork, and gives you a seat and all that. All that you're partaking in his home as a result of being his guest and his service, despite the fact that he gave it to you, now it became your lunch, and it's your fork to eat with, and it's your seat. You are sitting in his house. You're eating with his fork. You're eating his food. It always remains his, except you're eating it by his generosity. But it's real only because he's letting you have it. You cannot then say, okay, he gave it to me, let me take the chair with me home. doesn't entail that, doesn't contain that message at all. Not only is it that it's supposed to stay in this room, you're supposed to use it, it remains his, you're sitting in his chair. Even for the moment that you're there, you're sitting in his chair. Not only that, as we said many times, this is the whole phenomenon. Sitting in his chair, that is why you're there. You want to be his guest, you want to be welcomed by him, recognized. That's the whole phenomenon. This is the element of Chochmah. Chochmah knows things because they are truth, at their truth level, and they remain where they are. Binah takes things into itself, becomes owned by Binah. He understands it in his own way. He grasps it, he is masik, he comprehends it. He takes it along with himself. Chochmah you can't take along with yourself. Chochmah exists only where Chochmah exists. Just like in sight. You see something only while you're looking at it. You can't take it with you. And the appreciation of sight is exactly that. I'm appreciating what I'm looking at. It's not mine. Translate all this. I said this is very brief, but nonetheless we have a lot of this. Translate this into the words Idiyas Vasogas Elokus. Elokus, we can know Elokus, we can be masik Elokus. It never becomes yours. You can only be masik if you recognize that it's not yours. It's a Mebash's. If your hasoga becomes yours, it's not Elokus at all. If you translate it in your own sake, what makes sense to you, that's not Elokus at all.
So why is it called hasoga?
It's called hasoga because hasoga, I explained last time, hasoga means that you're bound with it. You're connected to it.
It has an aspect from hasoga. I mean,
it has the result of hasoga. It's deeper than hasoga of Binah. It's a real connection. Like in the moshel of looking into the room from the window and coming inside the room. When you explained many times, looking for the window, you could see everything that's going on in the room very clearly. In every direction, up and down in every direction. When you're inside, you can only see in front of you. What's behind you, you don't see. If you want to see behind you, you have to turn around. In other words, you're limited in what you can observe. But when are you more connected to the room? When you're inside or outside? When are you involved in the reality of this room? Of course, when you're inside. When you're inside, you know what's going behind you, even if you don't see it. That's what's called Chochmah. Again, the principle of Chochmah is that whatever you know it in its place, not in your place. Thank you. And the significance of eating your host's food is the host, not the food. It's how that is his. That's the most important aspect of it. This is that AYIN has ideas of Hasogas. It's completely different. It's a different process, different approach, and clearly it is something which cannot be known any other way. You can't know Elokus and dissociate it from its source, like Binah does. Then it's not Elokus.
Binah first identifies details, and then it says how does this come from Elikus?
No.
No.
No. Binah is being impressed by Chochmah. Chochmah shows it. Just like when you see things. You see things, they're real, and then you start to understand what you see. But first, you see it has to be real. No. And this is why we say, Mochin are lemayle me'amidas harbe. Because in of Mochin hein, Yinyan, and 3 lines from the bottom again, Yinyan ideas v'hasogas halakus. It's the Yinyan of knowing and hasoga and comprehending halakus. Again, the word hasoga over here is on the Mochin level, at the Chochmah level. It's a different kind of hasoga than in Binah. It is not a grasp that you're grasping something and you can separate it from its source. Hasoga in this case means you are in it and you really know where you are.
I thought the midot is separate from the source. Even in Binah is separate from the source.
Yeah. He knows, right? He's a masik. He understands. The knowledge itself is something which becomes part of his idea.
And what is...
One second. You learn Shulchan Aruch. You know halach. Do you have to go back to Shulchan Aruch to know the halacha, or you have it in your mind? Okay. How do you have it in your mind? If you want to learn, read the Torah. Read the Torah in a minute. I have it in my mind. I don't have to read it. I don't need a Sefer Torah. I know I have it in my mind. Don't work, right?
So how is it that we said that Binah doesn't separate from Chochmah?
Binah does not separate from Chochmah because Binah looks to Chochmah to tell it what am I supposed? What is there to know? Just like we had the Moshel, right? We said to read in the Torah, you have to read in the Torah, but it's written in words and letters, and you can translate these words, and that's when it comes to your knowledge, to your learning it. But it has a source. Again, I'm repeating the words again inside. I thought a lot over this weekend, Shabbos, the principle that it says that oisi is machkimus. Oisi is give chochmah, give wisdom. Because oisi is enable you to focus in and concentrate on the inyan in its source, without taking it out. In its source, where it is written. Ideas Asogas Alakus is a phenomenal statement. How do you know in Masik Alakus? That's Mochin. And how does that happen? It is you connecting to it. Mochin are capable to connect and to stay there. Midas need their own orientation. Mochin are not interested. Mochin is only to know what is the truth in itself. Just like in the motion of the guest, you're at the chasana, and food is served to you, and you have your seat, but you don't want it to be yours. You want it to be part of the simcha. You want to be a guest. You want to be a guest? I want to have my own. No, you don't have my own. I don't want my own. I want to be a guest. That's the whole thing. That's Chochmah. Chochmah, Elokus, everyone understands Elokus cannot be separated from its source. And talking Elokus, you're connecting to the source. And that's it, that's Mochin. And Mochin is perfectly satisfied to know things in their source. Not only that's what they really want. Like I said in the case of I want to be inside the room, not be observe what's going on. I don't care what I know, I want to be inside. That's Mochin. V'hamidos hein rag hispoilus eliki. The midos are only hispoilus eliki. This form that the Rebbe is explaining, hein rag hispoilus eliki, there are many differences between midos and Mochin in the form of the knowledge and so forth. But here we focus on the union that Mochin is ideas hasogas elokus. Midas also has elokus. We're not saying Midas has no elokus, but only it has elokus. He's spoilers eliki. In other words, how the elokus has affected it, not elokus in its source. It's also elokus, but only the spoilers eliki. והמויכין בבחינס דוויקוס. המויכין בבחינס דוויקוס. Have the bechin of dveikus, of cleavage, which means that they connect to that which they know, to that which they try to know. Not taking it into themselves like a spoilers or elokus, but rather connecting to the source. The whole hasoga, because any hasoga, every hasoga, hasoga here we're talking about hasoga in the lukus, in hasoga in Mochin. He alidei miskashe v'nid bag b'hayinya. Hasoga comes to be Aliday, as a result of shemiskashes, that he attaches. Yes, attached. Benidbag, and he cleaves, he becomes connected. Behoyinyan, in the inyan that he is dealing with. That's what I mentioned before. It's an interesting thing. Oisius machkimus. Oisius are the most chitzonius of the seichel of seichel. You put it in words. That's the most chitzonius thing. And yet we say oisius machkimus. When it's written out, machkimus, this brings the chochmah to you. How is that? It is that when you have oisius, when you have the chochmah, the seichel in oisius, there are many things that affected by this. But one thing in terms of what we're discussing now, the oisius enable you to focus in and to completely concentrate on this seichel. It's there in front of you.
What is machkimus exactly?
Make you wise, chochmah. It brings out your chochmah because you're able to delve into it. You have something to focus in, and that's what you are. That you become connected to this seichel, to the oisius, like it, through the chitzonius thing, but you connect to the seichel. This is what happens. I mean, everybody who learned, especially when you learn Gemara and so on, the way that occurs is you look over and over in the words. You may know the words by heart. No, you look over and over and over, and then it strikes you what he's trying to say. A toisves or whatever it is.
What are we trying to say with this Moshe?
That the first step to hasoga is to be skashet, to connect. And the oasis is what enables you to connect. Normally connection is after you understand it. This is before. It's there. And you have something to connect to.
So wisdom is contained in Mochin?
Yes, wisdom is Mochin.
Wisdom is Mochin?
Yeah.
What does the word hispalus mean?
I'm sorry?
Literally?
Hispalus? Hispalus means being affected. The word hispalus means excited. Hispalus eloki means a divine excitement.
Means being excited over divine.
Okay, divine is that good that we Hispalus eloki. Hispalus eloki. Besides said before by Mochin that when you know Elokus, you don't dissociate it with the source. That Elokus is when you say it in the source. Midas Hispalus eloki, Elokus cannot be separated from its source. Elokus is not an imaginary and projected reality. It's either real or not real. It's not projected. It's the reality itself. So when you have Hispalus Midas, it becomes mine. That's why he says Hispalus eloki. No, he's Hispalus of the presence of Elokus. Just like he said before about Oises Machkimis. What's Oises Machkimis? How Oises Machkimis? The Oises Machkimis, it's interesting. It's not the Oises that you know in your mind, that you remember. The Oises that you're looking in the print. That you focus into what is being presented to you. This is where Machkim is. Because this is where you are coming out of yourself and you connect to the Inyan. And similarly, Hispalus eloki in the Taich, yes, it's Hispalus. But the Hispalus is not, the focus of the Hispalus is not that I'm excited. Focus in the Hispalus is the Elokus, the beetle that I have to Elokus. That's Hispalus eloki. But it's only Hispalus. Mochin he begins dveikus. The chol hasoga hu alidei shemiskasher v'nid b'hal any hasoga. How does one get to know and understand something? It is first and foremost connecting to the Inyan. This is a very important principle, especially nowadays, in our days.
Connected to?
Connected.
To what?
To the Inyan that he's trying to know, to understand. it's a ridiculous a little bit, but it's still anything you can use for a mashal in learning Chassidus is mevara the minyan. There's a mishagas in our days. A mishagas. People go through operations and change their gender. A man becomes a woman, a woman becomes a man. Where does that come from? What's behind that? Stupidity is a compliment. It is that people have usurped. I can do whatever I want. I'm not limited to anything. There's no creator. There's no parameters of who I'm nothing. Whatever I decide I want to be, that's what I be. My whole mitzvahs in the world is not real to begin with. It's what I project it to be. And if I project myself to be a woman, so then I become a woman. There's no reality. When is the reality in the world if you recognize it as a creator? If everything is just evolutionary. So my father wanted me to be a man. I don't agree with him. I want to be a woman. The whole reality is all projection. This is what he's saying. Hasoga is miskashe behoyin, and he connects to the reality itself. What is it? Not what I want it to be. Want to be is not hasoga. It's imaginary recreation. Hasoga is that you want to be masik the inyan. That is a result that is possible only if you first and foremost connect to the inyan. What is it? What do I see? What is being given to me? And as we said, that in Mochin and Chochmah, and this descends all the way down, further down in Binah and so forth, what I know remains in its source. I know what I was shown. If I take it away and I'm not associated from the source, the knowledge it dissipates, is worthless.